Hello, everybody. I'm sitting here with Sheri Wilson, who is the director of Macbeth, which will be coming up here in the spring. I believe it opens February 14th.
Yes.
Is that right?
It does, yeah.
Okay.
Does.
We're going to ask Sheri a couple questions today about the show. So, right off the bat, what separates your production of Macbeth from one that we might see down the road?
I think what is unique about this particular version of Macbeth is my ability to create this world around youth and young adults, because we obviously have a young cast.
Yep.
And I really want to play into that a lot, as well as explore PTSD, which is sometimes explored in different productions of Macbeth, but in my opinion, not enough. Because for me, it's so prevalent in the language and in the verse. And so I really feel like I want to bring that to life. And the third thing I'll say is I view Macbeth and Lady Macbeth as a couple in love who have a very close relationship, and then things start to happen in their life that take them down a rabbit hole that they cannot recover from. And I think that many times is missing in a production of Macbeth. We tend to go directly to, Macbeth is horrible and he kills, and Lady Macbeth is a fiend, and I don't see it like that. And so I really want to key into these people as human beings in a relationship. Yes, flawed, but we all are flawed. But allowing us to take the full and complete journey, not just kind of cutting and pasting and providing only a skewed perception of who these people are, because they are more than just what you see in a specific scenes, right? And so I'm trying to pull that out in the other parts of the text that we really don't pay attention to.
Yeah, I think in a lot of productions of Macbeth, it is very easy to paint those characters sort of at the face and let the language do all the work. The language is beautiful. I mean, it's Shakespeare, but there's so much more depth that can be taken through action and stuff. And I think in our discussions about the show that we've had previously, I think that your take on it is so empathetic.
Yes.
And that's so refreshing for a production of Macbeth. People see it as the bloody one,
right? The
scary Scottish play,
right?
But I think what you're doing with it is very unique and strong.
Yeah, I don't see many productions that take on that empathetic part to it, and so thank you for bringing that up, because I do have a lot of empathy for these characters, and yes, the decisions they make. Some of them are really bad and terrible and abhorrent, but how they got to those decisions and how they got to where they could not return is what I'm more interested in. And I think that's where the empathy comes from, because then we can start to look at them in totality as a human being. And you're right to say the musicality and the language and the verse is lovely on its face, but a lot of times we don't bring a lot of that to life. You and I was telling you about the scene where King Duncan and the nobles come to Inverness, and there's a whole mini dialogue about how beautiful the castle was and the birds and why they would even choose to live there. But you rarely even see that come to life in a production. But I think that goes a lot to allowing us to have empathy and allowing us to see these individuals as more than killers or overly ambitious. You know what I mean? And so those are the things and the little wonderful, beautiful things I want to bring out in this play that I don't normally get to see in other productions.
That's amazing, and I think that's what's beautiful about the work and about the text, is that the more that you want to dig, the more that you want to put the work in, the more you're going to get out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not relevant to the plot necessarily that there are those beautiful moments,
right?
But because you're taking the work to dig through the text, we find them.
Yeah.
There they are. Let's use them.
Right, let's use them. And yes, they are not the thrust of the entirety of the text or the main plot, but I do believe that they lend to an overall picture and depth, and the dynamics of the characters that weave together in this story. And I think those little bits just bring the story even more to life.
Like you said, you're making the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's you.
You create it. Yeah.
Right. So what about Macbeth specifically resonates with audiences today? Why still do it?
Yeah, that is definitely an age-old question. Why do we keep doing Macbeth? You know what? I know I'm repeating myself, but I honestly do believe there is something to be said about the realness and the way Shakespeare writes these characters. Like, you literally can see yourself. We all have ambition, right?
Yeah.
We all have goals. We all want those promotions. We do get jealous. We do feel betrayed. We may not act on certain things, but it does not mean that we don't have those darker thoughts. Because we do have various sides to us, right? And so I think that pulls audiences into Macbeth, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're completely right. In a similar vein, what about Shakespeare specifically resonates today? Why do we study him?
Oh, geez. I think, there's a lot of debate that goes on with, why do we bother studying Shakespeare? Because there are a lot of controversial debates that surround him, his writings. Yes, I definitely agree. With different things, with stereotypes and misogyny and a lot of different things. And so you wonder, why even bother?
Right.
But I think that notwithstanding, there are times that you have to edit the script or take some things out, because in our audiences today and in society today, those are unacceptable moments. However, the language and the poetry that Shakespeare brings to life in his writings, I think, is undeniable. If you just take it on its face and just read it as poetry, it is absolutely beautiful. And it's absolutely timeless. And the way that he's able to bring characters to life for a stage play, utilizing verse and blank verse and poetry, is amazing. And who really does that to this degree even today? You know what I mean? In this day and time. And so I think because of that, it still provides a platform for Shakespeare to have space in society, in our English classes, in our literature classes, on the stage. Because of that very fact. I mean, it's just something that is extraordinary, the way he uses language and the way he brings characters to life through poetry, and then notwithstanding the way an actor can interpret that and bring those words to life, because there's a specific way that you have to perform Shakespeare in order for it not just to make sense for the actor, but so that an audience who may not be as well versed in Shakespeare can still follow it and not feel like they're in some room where they don't understand a word that is being said.
I think with his work in particular, there's such a sense of responsibility on any creative aspect of the team. If you're an actor, there's such responsibility in doing it justice in order to have that beautiful poetry be portrayed on a stage. Because usually with poetry, if you go to a poetry reading or something, it's not necessarily meant to be interpreted literally. It's like it invokes a feeling.
Right.
And Shakespeare's similar in that way, but we're still telling a story.
Right.
And so there's so much responsibility to really make sure these words are giving the audience something to go off of.
A long time ago, a colleague of mine let me in a little secret. He said, people usually do not go to see or watch a Shakespeare play. They go to hear a Shakespeare play. And so the responsibility of the creative team, the actor, is to balance the feeling of what they're saying with, like you just said, allowing us to watch that character go through their journey and for it to make sense and be relevant, you know. So it's not just a matter of standing up and pontificating and you know, speaking Shakespeare, but you're telling a story about these characters, you know, and there is such a wonderful way you have to go through that journey and think about that journey. And the responsibility is great, but such great rewards can come from it.
I think there's so much beauty in the fact that, since, for lack of a better term, it is so strict in the fact that you are hearing it, it's so malleable in the visuals. You can do, it's such a blank canvas. You can do it with 2 acting blocks, or you can do it with a giant Broadway stage. It's so up in the air.
It is.
As long as you have that basis of, we're telling a story that people hear.
And that's what, I think that's what makes it so fascinating, because it's not like a contemporary play. It's just based in that verse, in that language, in that poetry. So there are strict things that you have to adhere to so that it makes sense, not just to us, but to an audience, to a listening and watching audience. But having said that, what you can do with it and all the ways you can bring it to life on the stage and how people hear it is just absolutely phenomenal.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
This was great. I feel like we got a lot of good things to say. Please come watch Sheri Wilson's production of Macbeth on February 14th. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheri.